Each day, it's a really good idea to look through the method service checklist. Now, the watch list is all about the risk inside the markets. One thing to note, this is from Friday, US time. So we saw the VIX come down, and of course, that rallied the market. Row 2 is inverting row 1, so we saw some good positive risk-on behavior through gold and silver and copper. Row 3, the indices. Again, this is on Friday, so the indices did really well with the VIX retracement. One of the things to note with row 3 references at the time of this recording, these particular tickers are not awake yet, so this is Friday data. Of course, the stocks, Friday data, Tesla took a pretty big hit and MicroStrategy did really well. What is actually alive and kicking at the current time, because it works 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, +1 for leap years, is the crypto market on row 5. We can see that there's negative price momentum. This means that there is likely negative price momentum for the futures when they open. That is on the main markets. Bitcoin and crypto are very risk-on asset classes, and typically what happens, they set the tone for the markets. We can see in row 6, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum Classic and BNB. Ethereum Classic is 0%, but the others are down. When we look at row 7, they are down. When we look at the memes, except for Pepe and Floki, they're down, but only marginally. A row 1 reference, which is good to keep in mind, is the actual reduction in the VIX. That is a good thing. Now let's look into the markets and determine what's happening immediately inside the crypto market. And we'll also look at some news, and some news that you really need to know about. Okay, let's run the numbers. Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS and the CTKS method. If you're new, a very warm welcome and welcome back, CTKS family. We can see inside the main markets they did rather well, and this is what we would expect from a VIX reduction. On Saturday, the crypto markets did really well, but on Sunday they decided to dive down. Now, what are we seeing in the crypto market at the current time? We can see that Bitcoin for the day is down around 1.6%. BNB is down 1.2%, as is Dogecoin. AVAX is also down. And we've got some positive gainers in here. One thing to note, there's always things moving up and moving down inside the crypto market, but everything will follow Bitcoin. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? If Bitcoin is coming down, you can bet your bottom dollar that directionally all of the alts are following suit. And if Bitcoin comes up, all of the alts are coming up as well. To know where Bitcoin is going is not an academic exercise. It is vitally important for you to do. Price action inside the crypto market is not random. You would think it was, but it's not. Let's have a quick look at the news headlines. Going to zero, major crypto warning. Oh, brother. Give me a break. Unfortunately, if you read the news, you're going to be left perplexed because you're going to see so many opposing news headlines. Major crypto warning, but these 3 altcoins will explode 3,000%. Oh gosh. What you actually need to do is to look at structural levels and understand direction and momentum from the cheat sheet. That'll give you everything that you need to know. Separating signal from news is really difficult, but one piece of signal that I suggest you pay a lot of attention to, especially if you're in the EU, is get out of USDT. Tether will be delisted by the 30th of December. You do not want to be in Tether leading up to that. I've already come out of my USD holdings, or USDT holdings, and I'm in Australia, so I'm a long way from the EU, but the shockwaves can be heard around the world on issues like this. You can transfer to another stablecoin depending on what exchange you're on. FDUSD is a pretty good one if you're on Binance. USDC is also good if you're on other exchanges. The regulators have been after USDT forever, literally since Tether started minting its own money supply. They said, "Nice business you've got there, we want it, and to get it, hey, get out of here." And the EU has done it, so please be aware, do not be in USDT. It's not realistically a cause for panic, it's a cause for preparation. You can sell your USDT into USDC or FDUSD or any other stablecoin that you like. And there are so many of them these days, but you want to pick a fairly high liquidity one. There's been a lot of talk recently about quantum computing, just hacking into Bitcoin. In the truth, quantum computing could effectively hack into anything, including your bank. Crypto is actually the safest place to be. And many blockchains are becoming quantum resistant. And poor old Richard Hart, Interpol is after him. He's definitely got his fame now. And former Binance US CEO Brian Brooks takes a board seat at MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy actually holds 2% of the Bitcoin in existence. Well done, Michael. This brings us to a pretty damn important point. Where do we think that Bitcoin is going? In the short term and the long term, the answer is exactly the same. Every single price chart, Bitcoin included, is just moving from structural resistance into structural support. Your job is to simply know where they are. If you know where structural support and resistance are, you're just ahead of the game because the vast majority of people unfortunately do not know. They use recent indicative price to say, oh, there's a level of structural resistance through here. Actually, you can see there isn't any. The most statistically significant structural support and resistance levels are drawn up through level 1 and level 2 standard certification. Now, what we can see here, and I'll just put some numbers on these for you. Oh, that's a bit better. What we saw during the weekend, the Friday sell-off took us into the 92,732 structural support level, and we had quite a few structural supports in there. The 92,732 was particularly strong, and we had a reversion up to the 97,180 structural level. Structural levels are incredibly easy to understand. If it can't get above, it's negatively structurally attracted to the one below. If it has a CTKS gap, that means if there's any real difference between the resistance and the support level, that can cause what is called a structural overshoot. So in this case, if we get follow through, we could go down to the 92,732 mark. Now, a lot of people think price is just completely random. It is not random. It is structurally based. We see this every single day. If you know the structure, you know what you're looking at. And across the weekend, the 97,180 level was particularly important. And you can see Bitcoin tried to get above it, but the sellers were just far too strong. This is pointing towards the major indices coming down, the futures coming down, and the VIX restoring a bit of positive volatility. Now, what typically happens, the majority of people are investors. What is an investor? It's an emotional trader. Now, why do I mean that? Because as soon as investors see really negative price action, even though they want to hold forever, they'll end up selling. And when it turns around, they'll end up buying. This is emotional trading. The vast majority of investors, perhaps more than 95% of them, are simply emotional traders. And that's not what you want to be. If you want to be an investor, you want to have conviction in your plays. The biggest conviction player in terms of investing in Bitcoin is, of course, Michael Saylor. That is a guy with conviction. So what do? What does every investor need to be aware of? And of course, every trader. You must be aware of the structural support and resistance levels that play out in your chart. You must also know the rules of the market. Now, one big rule is simply this. If we can't get above, we're going to the one below. And if we've got a CTKS gap in there, a lot of people talk about fair value gaps. We already know where the gaps are inside market structure. If you have one of those gaps, you'll likely get an SO or a structural overshoot to a lower structural support level. Always consider three cases. a bullish case, a neutral case, and a bearish case. The bearish case looks like the dominant probability at the current time, at the recording of this video. Things can change around a lot. It just realistically depends if we can get above the 95,786. So now this is a key level that you need to keep your eye on. Can you imagine if you were looking at a chart and you didn't know what the key level was? That would just give you so much anxiety. But with the CTKS method, because it's done through 2 levels of standard certification, you know exactly what levels you need to keep your eyes on. Now, what is the other level you need to keep your eye on? It's the 92,732 level. If we can't hold the 92,732, expect more negative structural attraction. If we bypass the 95,786, expect more positive upside. Then the 97,180 becomes really important. Across the weekend, you can see we pretty much flatlined it there. And of course, there will be a lot of retail traders and investors saying, okay, I'll put my stop just above all of this junk. So yeah, it won't get hit. But you know, the truth is, institutions know exactly what you're doing, and they often come hunting for those stops. Not because they're nasty, but because you make it too easy for them to understand where they are. If we look into the liquidation heat maps, and this is a topic that I will be talking about in the upcoming Profiting from CTKS Method Structure course, you can see above local highs, there's so many stops here. And what about below local lows? You can see that's where people just put their stops. It's no wonder they get liquidated all the time. Personally, inside the crypto market, because it's so incredibly volatile, I don't even bother using a stop loss. I am the stop loss. I'm a human stop loss. We also need to look at total crypto market cap because that'll give us some really good insights on what's happening. Total crypto market cap and Bitcoin structure moves together. One of the things to note, typically across the weekend, we get sideways action. It just tends to drift. That's because a lot of the big players are just simply not there. They don't have enough liquidity to push the market around. Now, what we can see right now is that we've come into structural support, quite a few levels of structural support on total crypto market cap, and the price is already bouncing. This will flow through to Bitcoin. Bitcoin impacts total and total impacts Bitcoin. I'll show you. This particular retracement here is because of the structural levels on total crypto market cap. I'll be explaining how you can cross-read charts in the Profiting from CTKS Method structure coming out on Christmas Day. Now, the good news is that we've just closed that CTKS gap. That means that we've got the potential for a positive CTKS gap, and we could overshoot that 3.3 because this is quite a big structure. So when everybody's getting very, very negative, and there are reasons to get negative as well, we must look at structure. It's so vitally important. Also, we've got a lot of structural support in through total crypto market cap below these current levels. And you can see it's already interacted with that structure. Oh, if only we knew ahead of time. Actually, we do. That's the whole point of these indicators. And it's the whole point of marking up your charts with level 1 and level 2 standard certification. These particular lines look to the right. They tell you exactly what you can expect incoming of price in the future. This is the only leading indicator of price in the entire world. The million-dollar question now, if we look at past cycles such as the 2016 halving cycle, the 2020 and the 2012, where is price going based on those cycles? We can see that the 2016 cycle had negative price momentum around this time from the halving going forward. Also, the 2020 cycle had negative price momentum around this time. What about if we whip up to the 2012 cycle? Well, it had a little bit, but not much. But the previous cycle had quite a bit. Now, if we do sell off, that is a fantastic opportunity because we're going stratospheric with Bitcoin. But even though we're going to the stratosphere with Bitcoin, and it will be without doubt more than $1 million per Bitcoin sometime in the future, Does that mean you just buy now and you just sit and pray and hope? No, that is ineffective. Where and when you buy is incredibly important. In a bull market, you're going to get your share of very nasty retracements, and this is in Bitcoin. So if you think about a 38% retracement in Bitcoin, what do you think is happening to the alts? They're getting bled dry. Emotional traders, aka investors, they sell every time the market goes really red. And this is a problem, not so much with people, but just how we're wired. We believe that we can get certainty inside financial markets, and there is no shortage of people that will sell you on that myth. It is a myth. What you need to do is to stack probabilities. If you're buying each time it's at the top, you're just eking out a very moderate return. But if you are capable of buying on double-digit negative like this, your returns 10x on what they would have been. There's also a pretty dark side to emotional trading, aka investing. What typically happens, people are shaken out of the market and only come back in when they are absolutely certain price is going up. And that's typically around the top or a local high, only for it to dump on them again and then they exit. So you really need to learn how to trade to overcome retail emotion. It is absolutely vital for your financial future. Unfortunately, a lot of people who don't actually understand financial markets say, oh, I need to buy at the absolute bottom, as if that is even possible. For example, how do you buy at the bottom? A bottom only occurs the price bar after the bottom, and the top is the same. Just pinning a top, that is incredibly difficult, and it's also not required. What you want to do is just simply stack probabilities, understand the direction and the momentum that we're going into, and the direction is very positive. The bull market, by estimates, is likely to extend into the latter part of next year. A lot of people could not see that, and they can't see it if the price is going negative. If price goes negative, they think it's all over. It's all going to zero. Well, that's what the news headlines tell you. I just showed you an example of that. Be careful of the news. Personally, I'm looking at any retracement at all, and I'm just thinking 80K would probably be the lowest that we would go. If we come down to 80K, it's going to be an absolute gift. Remember all of these retracements. Don't get faked out by just natural market momentum. You're going to have to get really familiar with this. This is just the way it is. But if you can master it, you're going to do so incredibly well. You'll change intergenerational financial fortune. But you must control your emotional state. I find it really interesting that if you follow the news, you'll see UFO sightings and reportings just breaking out all over the place. It's almost like a signal that the institutions put out and say, oh, UFOs in the news right now, sell down. Institutional players use a lot of excuses to rebalance their portfolio and get onto the right side of the percentage. It doesn't mean any of it's real, it just means they use these things. You must be aware of it. Unfortunately, retail means only up. And if you look at only up, it's just like a complete ridiculous concept. Price is always moving in a wave. These wave movements may not look much, but they are a lot. You're talking about double-digit percentage gains and losses throughout all of that. You must be able to ride volatility. I'll teach you all about how to do that in the Profiting from CTKS Method Structure course, which you can get absolutely free. All you need to do is to pop across to ctksmethod.org and make sure that you meet the conditions, and just hurry up because it's going to close very soon. But you can get it absolutely free. It's worth a fortune. It's worth far more than that. I put so much additional content that is underselling it. No question about it. If you want to do Level 1 and Level 2 standard certification, we also have a Christmas special there, and I suggest that you do it if you haven't done it already. The cheat sheet is absolutely free to download. from ctksmethod.org, and there are a number of videos that can help you out in terms of filling it out. And if you go down, you can see an example of some of my trades that I've been doing. Also, mindset is incredibly important. If we just whip up to the top and go across to CTKS Mindset, that's all about how to think differently, non-retail. If you're retail, you are going to get, well, you're going to get your account taken away from you. Not by other people, but from a lack of emotional control and knowledge. And if you would like to know a little bit about me, I'm right there. Okay, whoa, Black Friday's sale is over, and that is moi. Okay, and there are also some really helpful crypto links here for you. Remember to keep positive. The universe wants you to succeed, but you can only succeed in proportion to your emotional control and your knowledge levels. The world wants you to succeed, and the world wants you to put the effort in as well. Confucius say, man who waits for roast duck to fly into open mouth must wait a very, very long time. Always be dedicated and committed. Understand that you either win or learn, and never blame. Never look for a reason outside yourself. You're the only one that can press the buy button and the sell button. Own it. In the Profiting from CTKS Method Structure course, I'm your coach. I'm not your lecturer. The masterclass is academic. The Profiting from CTKS Method Structure is practical. I'll help you to think correctly, and I'm not going to be soft or gentle about it. Because if you know how to look at the markets, you will do incredibly well. Just know that life and opportunities reset every single day. You can show your kindness, integrity, and gratitude everywhere. And what you will find, people who show negative excellence will get smacked by this world. It's just a question of when and never if. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that your mindset is a major component of your success. Building up your experience is really important, so I would suggest you start small and scale with buy on red, sell on green. You must learn how to sell, and don't worry about federal government taxes. They're the least of your worries. Emotional taxes and knowledge taxes are thousands and thousands of times greater than any tax that you would ever pay to the government. And government taxes are on profits. If you're an emotional trader, aka an investor, you will probably not pay tax because you will simply sell and buy at the wrong times. If you do pay tax, that's fine. And congratulations, that means that you're winning. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.